Time to get off of that thing. I can jump 3 heights. A couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to visit a job site. While I was there, one of our trucks had a rigger failure. Consequently, the truck tipped over and the driver jumped free. As he landed, he broke his ankle and was off for about 3 weeks. Accidents will happen on a job site.
They may happen at any time. Accidents involving sign erection equipment, boom trucks, ladder trucks, bucket trucks, almost all could be prevented. And then there are the fines levied by OSHA for safety violations, thousands of dollars in fines. NISA, the National Electric Sign Association, and Fireman's Fund Famex are concerned about your safety.
Most people's perception of an accident is the human suffering involved by the employee that sustained the accident, possibly even a fatality of that particular employee involved. But what is frequently overlooked is the economic injury sustained by the company, the employer. Those parts of that accident that can't be recorded on the bottom line, such as employee productivity having been reduced, employee morale that is injured as a result of the accident.
In the spring of 1989, my son Jeff was cleaning a sign and come in contact with high voltage wires. As a result of the accident, he spent 8 weeks in a burn center intensive care and 6 more months convalescing.
The crane truck, a necessity in today's sign industry, yet it can be deadly if not used properly. It is important that all of us understand certain precautions that can help to keep this tool a benefit and not a detriment. There are 3 critical areas that, if addressed properly, can help keep you productive and safe. A personal question. How would you feel boarding an airliner if you felt it had not been inspected on a regular basis? There's something about leaving the safety of Mother Earth that might leave you feeling substantially less than secure. And when a human being leaves the ground in a bucket, or a heavy load is teetering high above the ground, is there any less reason to feel insecure if this equipment has not been properly inspected? NISA and the Fireman's Fund advocate daily inspections for all crane trucks. Preferably, these brief inspections should take place each morning before the equipment leaves the shop. Management should make sure checklists appropriate to each piece of equipment are available. OSHA requires that crane manufacturers provide owners of their equipment with a chart for clearly recording inspections. These checklists should be monitored to ensure the inspection is actually taking place and should include at least these items. Drive systems, whether they are hydraulic or mechanical, should be checked for wear. Chains, are they solid and totally intact, or is there wear, loose links, or dirt that can cause a malfunction? Belts, they must not be frayed or cracked. They should be adjusted to the proper tension. Is the screw drive worn? Is it properly lubricated? And is the screw drive reservoir filled to the proper level? Hydraulic equipment, is the cylinder packing intact, or are there signs of leakage? Is there scoring or scratches on the extension arm that might damage the packing? Remember, a slight film of oil on the hydraulic ram is acceptable and preferable to operating dry. Hydraulic hoses should be checked for soft spots, cracks, and leaks. Are there signs of leakage at the hydraulic valves that could lead to loss of pressure? And the hydraulic fluid level should be checked and constantly maintained at the appropriate level. Gears, are they chipped or unevenly worn? Are the teeth pointed? And are the gears loose? This can cause excessive vibration. Are the gears properly lubricated? And cables, are the load cables and extension cables properly wound on their drums? Uneven winding, twisted, and crossed cables can mean problems. Stay alert for corroded, rusted, crushed, bruised, and kinked cables. These are signs that can mean trouble for a crane operator. Are cable clamps tight? They very often become loose as a cable stretches. Friction brakes. Is there excessive wear or glazing on the lining that can lead to brake failure? Are the dog locks intact and capable of performing their function? The boom tubes. Is there excessive wear or recent damage? Are they straight and true and properly lubricated? Is the accessory bucket properly mounted and does it function properly? On a ladder truck, are the extension pieces straight and true? On bucket trucks, the bucket should be checked at major stress points for damage, including cracks. The stress points include the mounts, the bucket bottom, and the edge of the bucket. And make sure this safety snap on the hook at the end of the boom is working properly. The battery should always be fully charged. Crane trucks have better power characteristics when operating on a fully charged battery. If these few inspections, plus the other inspections relative to your specific equipment, take place on a daily routine basis, your equipment should undoubtedly be safer. A good operator will constantly monitor his equipment. He should be the first to notice a malfunction or problems that may go undetected by others. It may seem to be wasted effort to do it on an ongoing basis, but the loose clamp, the leaky valve, and damaged boom tube can eventually impact almost everyone. A daily inspection can catch problems early and significantly add to accident prevention.
I've been operating a boom truck now 17 years, and each morning before we go out on a job, we have a 19-point checklist that we go over to make sure the vehicle is roadworthy and everything is safe before we leave to perform a job.
Daily inspections, they take relatively little time and pay big dividends. Watch carefully. What this man is doing is called preventive maintenance, attending to something before there is a malfunction. If you're one of the persons waiting to board this flight, this maintenance procedure is not just a nice gesture. It is a necessity. Would you want to board an aircraft that had not been properly maintained? Would you want to operate a piece of equipment like this if it had not been properly maintained? Maintenance. It can make the difference between lives being lost, jobs being lost, and costly downtime. The Y Sign Company will keep strict maintenance records on all of its equipment and will do everything possible to keep maintenance procedures a priority function. The crane's primary operator is undoubtedly the one who should be most aware of the condition of his equipment. He should at all times understand the status of proper maintenance on his crane truck. On a regular basis, and according to manufacturer's guidelines, each of the following items must take place. These procedures are in addition to other maintenance functions dictated by the manufacturer. Replace all fluids. Fluids become dirty and fail to function properly. Those fluids that must be replaced include, but are not limited to, hydraulic fluids, oil, and various other lubricants. All fluids and lubricants should be of good quality and must conform to the manufacturer's specifications. There are numerous moving parts that require regular lubrication, such as the extension cable, the rotation gear, the gearbox, all grease fittings, all sheaves and cable guide bars, and boom tubes. A vital part of maintenance is to extend all boom tubes horizontally along the ground. In this position, you will have the opportunity to lubricate the boom tubes properly and inspect each tube for wear and true and proper alignment. Many crane trucks are outfitted with numerous electrical relays. These relays can fail if special maintenance is not conducted here. The electrical contacts should be cleaned with fine emery cloth during the regular maintenance procedure. The brake linings on friction brakes do occasionally need to be replaced. Check them thoroughly and replace them as necessary. There are, of course, additional maintenance procedures that must be conducted on a regular basis. You must understand them and perform them to keep your equipment safe. Be sure you are thoroughly acquainted with all maintenance procedures as outlined by the manufacturer. There are no options to performing regularly scheduled maintenance. You either do it or face the consequences.
We, in the sign industry, want to keep our equipment maintained for several reasons. The main reason, of course, is safety. We wouldn't want to send our employees out on a piece of equipment that wasn't well maintained and was in good working order for safety reasons. The other main reason is it's more cost effective to maintain your equipment than to have it broke down on a freeway somewhere. Well maintained equipment eventually adds to your bottom line.
Regular maintenance. There is no substitute for it. An airline pilot. He has spent many hours learning the proper procedures to operate his aircraft. He knows different planes handled differently. He also knows that to do anything contrary to proper operating procedures is to jeopardize his own life and the lives of others. This man, the operator of a crane truck, is no different than the pilot of a plane. To attempt to control a crane truck without the proper knowledge can, of course, be disastrous. To violate the safe procedures he has knowledge of is to risk serious injury and even death. The third area of safety is operating procedures. It is an area most often responsible for the cause and prevention of serious accidents. There is absolutely no substitute for training and experience. Each company should make sure inexperienced employees work side by side with experienced, knowledgeable employees until they have gained the skills necessary to operate this technical equipment. Also, there are crane operation training sessions sponsored by state and local sign associations. These are conducted throughout the nation. Make use of them when possible. To assign an inexperienced person to operate a crane truck may be asking for serious problems. Operator manuals provided by the manufacturer should be read and reread by all operators. Communication is essential. These two men are discussing the exact procedure they will employ to accomplish the task before them. Each man knows exactly how to proceed. Neither will make dangerous guesses during the operation of lifting, moving, and attaching the sign. There should be no need to scream questions and answers that may not be heard. The communication is taking place now, before the procedure begins. And both understand the importance of proper hand signals. They understand what each signal means. There should be no confusion. This job will require 3 individuals at the job site. It is important that enough employees be made available to get the job done safely. Trying to do too much with too few people can lead to problems. And it is very important to predetermine which person at the load will give instructions to the crane operator. Conflicting directions from more than one individual can result in confusion and accidents.
You can't overemphasize the need to have sufficient manpower on the job. Sufficient manpower makes the job smoother, much safer, and more profitable in the long run.
These warning plates are placed on crane trucks for one reason: to save lives and prevent injury. Read them carefully. Understand and comply with the warnings. Frightening, isn't it? High voltage electricity is a killer. Each day throughout industry, numerous electrical accidents occur. Many of these accidents involve those who work with crane and ladder trucks.
On a typical sign replacement job, one of our crew members, while working with a helper out on the end of a crane ladder, inadvertently backed into a power line, which instantly killed him and his helper when his helper tried to save him. This was particularly distressing to us in that in our company we had always stressed proper training and safety measures, and in this particular case the crew leader had chosen to disregard those safety measures.
The rule is simple. Never operate a crane truck in a position that will allow the boom, the load line, the load itself, or any part of the truck to come within the prescribed distance to the energized power lines. The prescribed distance will be governed by the voltage of the lines, local codes and conditions. These must be verified and adhered to for safe compliance. No one wants this type of accident. Remember, a truck is not electrically insulated. Even a person standing near a truck that has thousands of volts of electricity passing through it can be injured or killed. Commercially marketed insulating links and proximity warning devices could still have serious limitations, and their use could lead to an unrealistic sense of security. A person touching the truck while standing on the ground is subject to the full voltage if the boom contacts electrical lines. If power line contact occurs, the operator should remember these 4 items. Remain on the truck. Move the crane off the wire if possible. Keep everyone away. If you must leave, jump away from the unit. Do not step down.
We at Fireman's Fund have reviewed the statistics relating to crane safety and have found that the first and foremost cause of loss is contact with power lines. Second cause of loss is dropping loads. And third, poor maintenance and inspection. We feel that attention to these 3 areas will ultimately improve these statistics and reduce your insurance costs.
Always position the crane truck in a level area. Entire trucks and cranes have been known to tip over. Level ground should always be a priority. Always set the truck's brakes and use wheel chock. And be sure to set the outriggers to their most stable position. Before a load is lifted, be sure it is free of loose objects such as tools and hardware that might fall. Most crane trucks have capacity ratings similar to this one posted in a conspicuous place. You must make sure the job and load you are undertaking is compatible with the crane's rating. Do not overload the crane. The closer the boom is to vertical, the more load it can handle. A fully extended boom has a substantially decreased load rating. Keep the boom as short or as retracted as possible, and as near to vertical as possible. Understanding your equipment's load rating and adhering to it will reduce your chances of an accident. Most vehicles are designed for the maximum load to be lifted over the rear of the truck. Working over the portion of the truck called for by the manufacturer will result in greater stability and safety.
As any experienced sign hanger knows, it is extremely difficult to guess the weight of an existing sign. We attempted to remove a large sign with 2 booms, and in the process we bent one of them. I suggest that if you're ever in doubt, I would call for another truck.
When raising or lowering a load, always do so in as smooth a movement as possible. Jerky motions and movements are not only unsafe, but are stressful on the equipment. Do not extend or retract the boom under load conditions unless recommended by the manufacturer. Movement away from and toward the truck body should be accomplished by adjusting the angle of the boom, not by extending or retracting it. And remember, when extending the boom, make sure there is enough load line extended for the circumstances. There have been cases of this huge steel ball and hook being forced off the cable and then flying through the air at various targets. It is a sound practice to always use a coworker to man a tag line attached to the load. Not only does it help in positioning the load, but a tag line can prevent a sudden gust of wind from causing a major problem. And be sure the coworker manning the tag line does not stand directly beneath the load. Never allow a load to free fall. A load out of control and falling on its own can rarely be brought under control. Always position yourself to apply the brakes if the need arises. And be aware of how much load line has been played out. When working with a fully extended boom and when dropping it into an excavation, it is possible to play out too much line. There should always be at least 4 or 5 wraps of cable remaining on the drum. To have less is to lose the anchoring ability of the drum, risking a breakaway cable. The majority of the items covered in this video apply to boom trucks, ladder trucks, and bucket or cherry picker units. Personnel working on the ends of ladders and in buckets must always wear safety belts, and the belt or lanyard should be attached to the boom, not the ladder or bucket. Employees working in bosun's chairs should make sure the safety belt or lanyard is attached to the cable above the hook. Ladders should never be extended or retracted while an individual is on the ladder. Retracting rungs on the ladder can easily injure feet and hands. There have been incidents where this pivot, at the point where the bucket attaches to the boom, becomes unintentionally frozen or locked in place. Be sure this hinge device allows a swinging movement to ensure that the bucket bottom stays horizontal with the ground, regardless of the angle of the boom. And remember, certain construction environments require personnel to wear hard hats. OSHA has published operating procedures for crane truck operators. You should study these procedures thoroughly. Regulations do change and are updated, It is your responsibility to be aware of these changes.
Not long ago, we had one of our cranes rip off the base of the truck, so we do know that accidents happen.
OSHA requires that all crane equipment receive an annual certification. Accidents can happen to anyone at any time. NISA and the Fireman's Fund FAMEX want you to know that most accidents can be prevented. As a service to members of the sign industry, Fireman's Fund FAMEX is pleased to provide at no cost a safety review of your workplace. Loss control specialists are available to advise you of potential loss conditions, the correction of which may lead to lower insurance rates. Reduction of accidents takes a commitment from everyone in the sign industry, from management to operating personnel. Each year, numerous crane truck accidents take place. There are injuries and even deaths. Large amounts of lost time result. Safe operating procedures by trained professionals can greatly reduce accidents and lost production time. Remember these 3 areas. The central message of this presentation ends as it began. Not only are accidents costly in terms of human life and suffering, they can substantially reduce the productivity of your company. Safety is of concern to all of us.